Somewhere out in the dark, there is a single object shining with the light of 100 trillion suns. Not a galaxy full of stars, not a cluster. One thing. And it is not producing that light by burning. It is producing it by destroying. For decades, we looked right at it and called it a star, a faint blue dot, catalogued and forgotten. We were not a little wrong. We were wrong by the largest margin in the history of astronomy, because that dot is a black hole. The largest one humanity has ever found. An abyss with the mass of 66 billion suns, wrapped in a storm of fire brighter than the galaxy it lives inside. And the light touching your eyes at this exact second left it more than 10 billion years ago, before the sun, before the Earth, before almost anything you have ever known existed. It has a name, TON 618, and here is the part that keeps astronomers awake. By everything we understand about how the universe works, an object this big, this early, should not be there at all. Stay with me, because it only gets stranger from here. Let's go back to the beginning. In 1957, astronomers at the Tonantzintla Observatory in Mexico were surveying the sky for faint blue stars near the border of two quiet constellations, Canes Venatici and Coma Berenices. They logged one more dot on a photographic plate, object number 618. Nothing about it screamed monster. It looked like a dim, slightly bluish star, the kind you'd pass over without a second thought. For years, that's all it was, a number in a catalogue. Then the spectrographs turned on it, and the picture shattered. The light coming off this star was wrong, wildly wrong. Its spectrum was stretched, shifted far toward the red, the fingerprint of something racing away from us at a fraction of the speed of light. And there was only one thing that could mean. This was not a nearby star at all. It was something enormously bright, enormously distant. The blazing core of a galaxy, its light crossing more than 10 billion years of empty space to reach us. It wasn't a star, it was a quasar. And not just any quasar. So what actually is a quasar? Picture the heart of a young galaxy. At its center sits a supermassive black hole, and around it, an ocean of gas and dust caught in a death spiral. As that matter falls inward, it doesn't fall quietly. It flattens into a searing whirlpool called an accretion disk, spinning at nearly the speed of light. Friction and collision tear through it, heating the gas to tens of thousands of degrees until the whole structure blazes across every wavelength there is. Radio waves, visible light, and floods of deadly X-rays and gamma rays. The result is a beacon so violent it can outshine every single star in its host galaxy, hundreds of billions of them combined. A lighthouse at the dawn of time, bright enough to see across the entire visible universe. That is a quasar. Now understand that TON 618 is one of the most luminous ever discovered, but brightness is only the first horror. Because a quasar doesn't just shine, it shoots. Deep inside that maelstrom, magnetic fields wind tighter and tighter around the black hole until they snap. And when they do, they hurl twin jets of plasma out from its poles at nearly the speed of light. These are not small. Each jet can stretch for millions of light years, longer than entire galaxies, spearing out into intergalactic space. They carry so much energy that they can reach across the whole galaxy and rip its gas away, choking off the birth of new stars, deciding the fate of the galaxy from a single point at its heart. Sit with that for a second. One object, smaller in the grand scheme than a grain of sand next to a city, dictating the future of 100 billion stars. And we still haven't reached the worst of it, because at the center of all that light and violence sits the true colossus, the thing generating everything you've just heard, a black hole with the mass of 66 billion suns. Let that number try to land. Our own galaxy has a supermassive black hole at its center, Sagittarius A star, and it is already unimaginable, 4 million times the mass of the Sun. TON 618 is more than 16,000 times heavier than that. It is not in the same league. It is barely in the same category. Its event horizon, the boundary where gravity becomes so strong that not even light can climb back out, is a sphere of pure darkness, roughly 400 billion kilometers across. To picture that, take our entire solar system. Every planet, from Mercury all the way out past Pluto. Now drop the whole thing into TON 618's event horizon. It vanishes completely, and there is still room to spare. The darkness is wider than the orbits of every world we call home, many times over. Now let's do something dangerous. Let's go there. Imagine standing near TON 618 and looking up. You would watch the laws of physics bend in front of your eyes. The black hole's gravity is so intense that it grabs the light around it and curves it, so the abyss appears ringed by a glowing halo. Light that should have flown past, dragged back toward you, forced to orbit the darkness before finally spiraling in. You would see a wall of night, encircled by fire, filling the sky. And then time itself would betray you. The closer you drift to the event horizon, the slower your time runs compared to the rest of the universe. Seconds for you stretch into years for everyone far away. To a distant observer watching you fall, you would never quite arrive. You would appear to slow and redden and freeze, pinned at the edge of the darkness for what looks like eternity, a ghost caught forever at the threshold. And the colors would die. As light climbs away from that gravity, it gets stretched, gravitationally redshifted, dragged into longer, darker wavelengths. Bright light fades to deep, bleeding crimson, and then toward black. It would look as if TON 618 were draining the color out of the universe itself, pulling every wavelength down into its throat. Beyond that threshold lies the thing we cannot explain: the singularity. A point where the matter of 66 billion suns is crushed into infinite density, where space and time twist beyond meaning, and where every equation we have ever written simply stops working. We do not know what is there. We admit it openly. Physics goes silent at the edge of TON 618. But here is the real mystery. It isn't inside the black hole. It's the black hole's existence at all. Supermassive black holes are supposed to grow up slowly. The textbook story goes like this. A black hole is born from the corpse of a dying star, or from a cloud of primordial gas collapsing in the early dark. Then, over billions upon billions of years, it feeds, swallowing stars, drinking in gas, colliding and merging with other black holes, and only very gradually climbs toward monstrous size. Slowly. That's the key word. Slowly. But TON 618 didn't have time to be slow. The light we see left it when the universe was less than a quarter of its current age, when galaxies were still forming and the first generations of stars were only beginning to light the darkness. And yet already it had reached 66 billion solar masses, fully grown, already a titan when the universe itself was barely a child. That should be impossible. There simply were not enough years for a normal black hole to eat its way up to that size, which means TON 618 either had to be born already enormous from the direct collapse of gigantic clouds of gas skipping the star stage entirely, or it had to feed in the young universe under conditions far more extreme than anything we've ever modelled. Either way, its very existence is a crack in our understanding of how the cosmos assembles its monsters. And yet, and this is the strange mercy of it, this destroyer is also a guide. Because TON 618 shines so brightly across such distance, its light has to travel through everything between it and us, the thin, invisible gas that fills the space between galaxies. And that gas leaves fingerprints on the light. So when astronomers catch TON 618's glow in their instruments, they aren't just studying a black hole. They're reading the chemistry of the infant universe, mapping where matter first gathered, tracing how the very first galaxies were built out of the darkness in the first billion years after the Big Bang. The most terrifying object we have ever found is also one of the clearest windows we have into where we came from. It is destroyer and storyteller at once, a monster holding a lantern up to our own origins. So when you look at TON 618, understand what you are really seeing. Not a place, a time, a moment more than 10 billion years gone. The object may not even exist anymore. Its fires may have long since faded, its jets gone dark, its galaxy grown old. But the light kept traveling. Across an ocean of time so vast, the universe reshaped itself while it was in transit. And it arrived, tonight, here, at you. 100 trillion suns of light, from something that should not exist, that finished burning this brightly before the Earth was ever born. Look at it while you can.